Domain 1, vision and story. What destiny might we envision and pursue such that we are maximally fortified against anxiety and despair, motivated by faith and hope, and voluntarily united in our pursuit of a flourishing and abundant world? Responsible citizenship. How might we encourage individuals to reflect and to act so that they adopt full voluntary responsibility for themselves, present and future? And that's the difference between impulsive self-interest and wise self-interest, right? If you're wise, you act in the present so that the future you will benefit from your actions in the present. You don't do that if you're impulsive or hedonistic. How might we encourage individuals to reflect and to act so that they adopt full voluntary responsibility for themselves, present and future, as well as their families and communities? So that's that extension of individual responsibility from the bottom up, from the local upward. And how to encourage that, recognize it, fortify it, develop it, distribute it. Family and social fabric. So we're sort of moving up the hierarchy of society. How might we effectively conceptualize, value, and reward the sacrificial, long-term, peaceful, child-centered, intimate relationships upon which psychological integrity and social stability most fundamentally depend? Well, the minimal model for that is something approximating the nuclear family, right? Long-term, committed, stable, heterosexual marriages, sanctified by the community and by the tradition, providing the basis for a mutually satisfying and engaging relationship for the adults involved, and offering the necessary minimal foundation for the security, for the creation and security of children. And so, well, we have to discuss exactly what that means at the minimal level. I'm particularly impressed, this is me, not ARC, by the way, with the Hungarian family policy provisions that have been put forward most recently. I think they're well worth considering. If you're a mother in Hungary, you have one child, you're exempt from income tax, 25% of income tax for the rest of your life. And that scales up to 4 children, 100% reduction. And I like that because, well, it helps redress the imbalance in relationship to reproductive responsibility that's part and parcel of the human existential landscape. And, you know, maybe that's not a perfect solution, but it seems to me a variant of the solution that the feminists, to give the devil his, or in this case her due, have been clamoring for forever, but certainly for the last 300 years. People aren't isolated and atomistic individuals. They need a family context. What that family context minimally constitutes, particularly in the ideal, can be subject to intense discussion. As a conservative in this matter, I tilt towards the minimal traditional nuclear family unit. And having said that, though, I would also say that I know perfectly well that we all fall short of the ideal, and that many people are divorced. Many people are unable to find a partner. People's spouses die. We're unfaithful to each other. Homosexuality is an eternal reality. And even within the confines of a traditional marriage, there isn't a person alive who makes that ideal manifest in all possible ways at every possible moment. And so we need an ideal on the family front that we all hold as an ideal. And that's probably something like the heterosexual nuclear family, at least in my estimation, with a very wide swath of genuine tolerance for human variation surrounding it. But the fact that that tolerance exists and that there is recognition of the fringe and its right to exist doesn't mean that we should sacrifice the ideal. I think when we do that, we destroy the center and we destroy the fringe. So, going up a level, free exchange and good governance. How can we continue to gain from the genius of unbridled human innovation and the productive reciprocity of voluntary production and free exchange, while protecting ourselves against the tendency of successful organizations to degenerate into a state of willfully blind and narrowly self-serving authoritarianism? Well, there's a free market element to that. So the idea there is that we're all best served when people are left the hell alone to do what they need to do, to produce what they can produce and to trade. But we also have to, as the reasonable left-wingers insist, note when any enterprise of any magnitude gets so large that it starts to co-opt the very rules by which the game is played. And so we have to sort that out. And that's complicated. How do we forestall regulatory capture and the proclivity of government, corporation, and communication enterprise alike to collude at the highest levels of abstraction and become authoritarian and self-serving? Energy and resources. How do we ensure provision of the energy and other resources crucial to our shared security and opportunity in a manner that is inexpensive, reliable, safe, efficient, and widely and universally accessible? Energy is work. Work is the amelioration of absolute poverty. We want to provide energy as widely as possible at as low a price is properly sustainable within the confines of a market economy, and we want to do that as rapidly as we can. There's no excuse for putting forward energy policies that punish those who are absolutely poor. It will not help them. It will hurt them. We have no right to do that. We have no right to deny the developing world here in the West, those of us who have that Western privilege. We have no right to deny the developing world the opportunity to pursue the opportunities that we've been blessed to pursue. And furthermore, if we do deny them that opportunity, we will not produce a beneficial environmental outcome. You play a zero-sum game, you're going to get a conflict-ridden, catastrophic outcome. It's not a good model for governance. And then environmental stewardship. Stewardship, right? That word itself implies that human beings are not a cancer on the face of the planet and that we do not exist in pure opposition to some hypothetically pristine natural order. We're part and parcel of the cosmos, just like all the other creatures. And we're conscious and self-conscious to a degree that makes us unique. And we have opportunity, power, and responsibility that's commensurate with that differentiated ability. How might we properly pursue the environmental stewardship that most truly serves the needs and wants of all individuals today, tomorrow, and into the foreseeable future? And that's a lot different than how do we sacrifice human interests to save the virginal planet.